Dr. Michael had always known that he wanted to become a doctor ever since he was a little boy. He would often spend his free time reading books about medicine and practicing how to use medical equipment on his toys. He worked tirelessly throughout his academic career to achieve his dream, even though it meant sacrificing a lot of his personal life. After graduating from medical school, Dr. Michael began his residency at one of the top hospitals in the country. He was determined to become the best doctor he could be, and spent countless hours studying, researching, and treating patients. But as he delved deeper into his work, he began to realize just how much he had to sacrifice in order to become a successful doctor. Dr. Michael spent most of his time in the hospital, and rarely had any free time for himself. He missed out on family gatherings, birthday parties, and other important events in his loved ones' lives. He even had to put his own health on the back burner, often skipping meals and sleeping for only a few hours a night. Despite all of this, Dr. Michael remained humble and dedicated to his patients. He never let his exhaustion or personal life interfere with his work, and always treated his patients with the utmost care and respect. But despite his hard work and dedication, Dr. Michael often found himself criticized by his patients. They would complain about long wait times, and some even accused him of being rude or dismissive. Dr. Michael was heartbroken, as he had given everything he had to become a good doctor, and yet he felt like he was failing his patients. One day, after a particularly long and difficult shift, Dr. Michael sat alone in his office, feeling defeated and alone. He couldn't help but wonder if all of his sacrifices were worth it, if he was really making a difference in people's lives. Just then, a knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. It was one of his patients, a young boy who had been diagnosed with a rare disease. The boy's parents had brought him to Dr. Michael in a last-ditch effort to save their son's life. Dr. Michael had worked tirelessly to find a treatment for the boy, spending countless hours researching and consulting with other doctors. He had even used his own money to purchase expensive medication that the boy's insurance wouldn't cover. As the boy and his parents entered his office, Dr. Michael could see the worry etched on their faces. But as he began to explain the results of the latest tests, he could see a glimmer of hope in their eyes. Over the next few weeks, Dr. Michael worked tirelessly to treat the boy, staying late at the hospital and even sacrificing his own health in the process. But his hard work paid off, and the boy's condition began to improve. As the boy and his parents prepared to leave the hospital, they stopped by Dr. Michael's office to say goodbye. The boy handed Dr. Michael a small drawing he had made, a simple but heartfelt thank you for all that he had done. In that moment, Dr. Michael realized that all of his sacrifices had been worth it. He may have been criticized by some of his patients, but he had made a difference in this young boy's life, and that was all that mattered. From that day on, Dr. Michael continued to work tirelessly to help his patients, but he also learned to take care of himself and to make time for the people he loved. He never forgot the lessons he had learned, and he continued to remain humble and dedicated to his work, no matter what challenges he faced. In the end, Dr. Michael realized that being a good doctor wasn't just about knowledge and expertise, but about compassion, empathy, and a willingness to go above and beyond for his patients. He learned that being a doctor meant being a constant student, always willing to learn and improve his skills, but also being a constant giver, always willing to put his patients' needs before his own. Despite the challenges he faced, Dr. Michael never lost his love for medicine. He continued to be inspired by the stories of his patients, and the strength and courage they showed in the face of illness and adversity. One of his most memorable patients was a young woman named Emily. Emily had been diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and her prognosis was grim. Dr. Michael spent countless hours researching her condition and consulting with other doctors, but no matter what he did, Emily's condition continued to deteriorate. As Emily's health worsened, Dr. Michael found himself struggling with feelings of helplessness and despair. He had done everything he could for Emily, but it still wasn't enough. One day, as Dr. Michael was sitting with Emily, holding her hand and trying to comfort her, she looked up at him with tears in her eyes and said, "Thank you, Dr. Michael. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for caring." In that moment, Dr. Michael realized that even if he couldn't cure every patient, he could still make a difference in their lives. He could be there for them, offering comfort, compassion, and a listening ear. Years later, Dr. Michael retired from medicine, but he never forgot the lessons he had learned during his career. He continued to be inspired by the resilience and courage of his patients, and he continued to be grateful for the opportunity to have made a difference in their lives. As he looked back on his career, Dr. Michael knew that he had sacrificed a lot to become a doctor. He had given up his personal life, his health, and even his own happiness at times. But he also knew that he had gained something much more valuable, the satisfaction of knowing that he had made a difference in the lives of others. And so, as he looked out at the sunset from his porch, surrounded by his loved ones, Dr. Michael felt a sense of peace and contentment. He had given his all to become a doctor, and despite the challenges and criticisms he had faced along the way, he knew that he had fulfilled his life's purpose.